Good day, everyone. This video will talk about the transport in vascular plants. So when we talk about the vascular plants, remember we are talking about the, here we are focused on the flowering plants. So from here, we are using the xylem and phloem. Okay. So the first question, define the terms transpiration and translocation. So this is just define and give the definition. So the transpiration is the loss of water by evaporation. Okay, evaporation from where? From the area plant part, okay, to surrounding via the stomata. Actually, it's not only the through the stomata, but here the most is through the stomata. Okay, then the translocation is the loading of sugar, okay, from source. You cannot say from leaf. You say from source and area of excess sugar supply into phloem in order to be unloaded into a sink, an area of storage or of sugar use. So this is the correct definition. Remember. The second question, explain the importance of transpiration in plants. The question is importance of transpiration. Not ask you to explain the mechanism of transpiration. No. So importance like the transpiration helps to draw, okay, water and minerals, okay, from soil into root and up to the shoot. Every time you must mention water and minerals, then required by plants for growth and development. So these P2 and the P1, they are together. Then the transpiration helps to move water, from xylem vessel to other plant cells by osmosis. Okay. Then that required by plants for photosynthesis or for support, or to provide support. Transpiration also helps to transport organic products such as, you must have the such as plant hormones in plants. Okay. Transpiration provides a significant evaporative cooling effect. Okay, significant evaporative cooling effect in plant when water is evaporated from the area part of the plant due to high latent heat of vaporization. Don't forget this, high latent heat of vaporization is for the water, when the water is evaporated from the surface, the area surface. Okay. Next question. How the root pressure and transpirational pool are involved in water transport mechanisms of plants? Even though the question talk about the water, but don't forget the minerals together, dissolved minerals. Root pressure is an osmotic phenomenon where the water diffuses from soil into the center root xylem. Okay, to the center, which is called where is the root xylem located? Through the endodermis by osmosis. Okay, where the water by osmosis. So through the endodermis. Produces a positive force to push the water up towards the shoot. So this is referring to root pressure P1 and P2. Minerals from the soil are actively transported into root cell. Then water diffuses down the water potential from the soil into the root cell. This is due to the accumulation of the minerals or the dissolved minerals in the root cell. Then water and dissolved minerals are transported along the root cells. Okay, along the root cells. So can mention from the root epidermis to the cortex. Okay, and towards the root xylem by symplast and apoplast pathway. Okay, you can add another one is a vascular pathway lah. Okay, but the most important is symplast and apoplast pathway, and another is a transmembrane route. Root pressure occurs because minerals ions that are actively transported from the soil are pumped into the interior to the endodermis and the root xylem. decreasing its water potential. Then these accumulations of ions or the mineral ions at steri, okay, has an osmotic effect. So they will draw the water from cortex, okay, from the cortical cells, okay, into the root xylem across the endodermis by simplest pathway. Water that diffuses into root tissues from the soil produces a positive root pressure to push. The root pressure is to push the water up through the xylem towards the shoot of the plant. So this is the root pressure, despite the absence of transpiration. Okay, we discuss about the root pressure only. So now the following part, we're talking about the transpiration. Transpiration is the loss of water by evaporation from the aerial part of plant through the stomata. Evaporation results in a reduced water potential in the mesophyll cell next to the xylem. So you must very clear about the anatomy, leaf anatomy. They are especially the spongy mesophyll cells. So they have what we call the air spaces. Okay. So the spongy mesophyll cell wall, okay, they have moist or the water film. Okay. So this water they evaporate, okay, to the air space. So now the cellular cell wall, the water potentials, okay, is reduced. Then the water from the inside the from the what we call the spongy mesophyll cells and the neighboring cells, they will diffuse into this part, okay, by osmosis. Okay, as here mentioned, okay, the water molecules that evaporate are replaced by other water molecules from the leaf vein, in which water diffuses into this mesophyll cell from the xylem sac by osmosis. Okay, so you can see they form like a water stream. Okay, they pull, the water molecule is pulled, okay, from the what we call from the leaf xylem, okay, and then to the spongy mesophyll cell, and then evaporate to the air space. Okay, therefore, transpirations exerts a driving force. Driving force by creating a negative pressure, okay, a tension on xylem sac, which draw a column of water and dissolve minerals, okay, dissolve minerals, ions here, up the vessel elements from root to leaf. Cohesion of water molecules due to hydrogen bonding allows water to continuously flow up the xylem. Okay, this is due to the cohesion, and also adhesion of water molecule to xylem wall, which is hydrophilic, also helps waters to pull up the xylem without breaking. So water diffuses from the xylem of the leaf to the mesophyll cell. Then water evaporates from the surface of the leaf mesophyll cells to the atmosphere. And then as long as the water molecule evaporate from the plants through transpiration and the soil contain enough moisture, enough water, then the water minerals, ions or dissolved minerals are drawn from soil, then is pulled from root xylem into stem xylem and then eventually to into the leaf. Okay. So again, you must be very clear about the sequence of the process. Okay, number 4, okay, explain this observation by relating to the cohesion tension theory of water movement in plants. So this one here, this answer actually is quite similar to the answer here. Okay, so they combine the root pressure and the transpiration as well. So from here you can check to your answer here. Okay, so here we start with the transpiration first. Okay, then can go through. The answer is quite similar. Okay, very similar. All right. So and then remember at the end there, you need to explain, okay, why your potted plant wilted. Okay, so no water can reach the shoot. This causes the plant cell lost their critical pressure. Then the plant cells are flaccid due to plasmolysis, and the plant wilted. All right. Okay, describe the movement of water in root tissue through apoplast, symplast, and the vascular pathway. So here they talk about in the root tissue only. Start from the root hair, root epidermis, cortex, okay, then the endodermis, and the root xylem. Okay, so you must very clear about the apoplast pathway. What is apoplast pathway? What is the symplast pathway? And as well as the vascular pathway. Okay, the most important is these two. Since the question has mentioned vascular pathway, so you must mention it as well. Okay, so the 6 marks question, so 2 marks for the apoplast pathway, and 2 marks for symplast, and the other 2 marks for vascular pathway. Describe how tension theory, how cohesion tension theory and transpirational pool facilitate water transport. So this question is very similar to the question here, this number 3. Okay, so can go through lah, can go through it. Okay, cohesion theory, cohesion tension theory, blah blah blah. Okay, can go through it. So similar. Then how endodermis function in creating root pressure in root. So this is because the presence of the casparian strip is found on the transverse and the radial wall. Okay, transverse is like this, and then radial is like this on the wall, radial wall, and then like this. So that prevents the water and minerals ions to move through the apoplast pathway of the endodermis, in the endodermis. So the endodermis actively transport minerals ions from cortex into the root xylem. So this will increase the solute potential of the root xylem, or this will lower the water potential. So you must, depends on you want to use water potential or solute potential. Okay, if solute potential is increases, water potential is lower or reduced. So water diffuses across the endodermis from cortex into root xylem via the symplast and the vascular pathway. Okay, only symplast and vascular pathway. Okay, through the endodermis. Then the casparian strip of the endodermis prevent the minerals ions from leaking back into the cortex and soil, because the what we call the minerals ions accumulated, okay, and then they have what we call a force, they create the root pressure, okay, create the root pressure, then to push water and the dissolved minerals up to the stem. So this one, dissolved minerals is better. All right, next. This is talk about translocation. Okay. Glucose is photosynthetic product which is converted into sucrose. Mm, and the other organic substances such as blah blah blah. Okay, they are loaded. Okay, sucrose and other organic substances are translocated from source into the component cells and then loaded into the sieve elements. You must very clear. Okay, from the source here, because the question that didn't mention is which one. So you can say such as the source such as photosynthetic cells. So the sucrose, okay, transported to the component cell and then loaded into the sieve elements. Okay. Yeah, arrive at the glycolysis pathway. So this one we talk about the how the sucrose is transported from the campaign cells or from the cellulose cell wall of the uh, sieve elements then into the sieve elements. Okay, to pump the proton. Remember, okay, this one is a core transported. Okay, they pump the proton out, then the protons they bind to the core transporter, and then at the same time sucrose will bind to the core transporter as well, and then they bring, okay, the sucrose and the protons into the shifted element. If you forget, please refer to my notes. So this one we talk about they pump the proton out first, out into the cellulose cell wall of the shifted element. So create a proton gradient. This one is they're using the secondary active transport. Okay, proton pump the proton out of the shifted element or the component cell depends so the cellular cell wall. So they have this will create a proton gradient between the cellular cell wall and the shifted element. Okay, so the proton that have the tendency to bind to the core transporter, okay, or we call the symporter, because in the same direction as well. Then the sucrose will bind to the core transporter as well. Then they are diffused down the concentration gradient. Okay. Some sucrose diffuses from the mesophyll cells to the campaign cells and sieve via the symplast. So if they are via the symplast pathway, so this one through the plasmodesmata between the campaign cell and the sieve element. Okay, they have the plasmodesmata. The accumulation of the sucrose in the shifted elements increases solute potential of the cell. The cell is referred to the shifted elements. Okay, so as a result, water diffuses from osmosis by the adjacent xylem vessel into the shifted elements. So this increase the turgor pressure, or which is known as the hydrostatic pressure inside the shifted elements near to the source. Forces the phloem set to flow along the sieve tube. The phloem set containing sucrose and other organic substances is translocated from the source to sink down the pressure gradient. Here is the pressure gradient. The concentration of sucrose and other organic substances in the sink are always lower than in the sieve tube because they are consumed by the surrounding cell in the sink for growth or the metabolisms. Sucrose and other organic substances are unloaded in the sink. They're unloaded by both active and passive transport from shifted elements. Then the water potential in the shifted elements at the sink increases because the solute already unloaded into the sink. Okay, so the water potentials in the shifted elements at the sink increases. Then the water diffuse out of the sieve tube by osmosis into the surrounding cells, where the water potential is more negative. And the adjacent xylem as well to be transported outward. So refers to the notes they can see they are circulate. Okay, then here the other pressure flow hypothesis. What we are talking about here is about the pressure flow hypothesis, and then you need to explain the electro-osmosis hypothesis as well. Okay, so we look at this electro-osmosis hypothesis. This one not much to discuss. I can go through on your own. Okay, and then please look at this label diagram. So maybe MCQ or structure question will ask. Essay question, normally they want ask you to label this diagram or to draw this diagram to explain your essay. But anyway, structure question, maybe they come out, they give you this one and then they ask you how this model, this is called the Munch model, okay, or the pressure flow model, okay, to explain the pressure flow hypothesis. So everything here is very clear lah. so you can go through on your own. All right. Again, if you not so clear, okay, you can refer to my notes or you can call me. Okay, text me lah. Okay. So that's all for this plant transport, and stay tuned for the next video. Bye bye.